Well, hello, video neighbors. It's good to be with you again today. How have you been doing since our last visit? I had something I wanted to show you today. I brought these. Do you know what these are? These are fire trucks. Now, when I was a little boy, I used to like playing with these. I pretend like I was a firefighter, that there was a big fire, and I was having to drive this truck to get to the fire so that I could save the people. We'd get to the fire, we'd put it out, and everybody would be safe. You ever done that? Pretended you were a firefighter driving a fire truck, that you were going to save the people? Or maybe that you were in a fireman's suit and that you were going into the fire? Being a firefighter is a big job. It's a dangerous job, but it's also one that we're very thankful for. So for today's visit, what I thought we would do is maybe we would go and visit the fire department. We could talk with Fire Lieutenant Taz, as well as Chuck and Stuart, the firefighters who also work there, see what it's like to be a firefighter. Maybe even take a look at the fire trucks, the really big fire trucks. You want to do that? Well, let's take a little trip to the fire department, shall we? Come on, let's go. Hey everyone. Hey Charlie.
Hey Charlie.
Hey Charlie, how are you?
Pretty good. How about y'all?
Good.
Well.
Great. Good to see y'all. Well, I brought our neighbors here. We want to take a look at the fire department today.
Hello neighbors. Hey neighbors, come on
neighbors.
in.
Well, what are y'all doing right now?
We are dusting off the truck.
Dusting off?
The truck. We keep our equipment clean.
Y'all
So-
do this regular?
Regular every time we go out of the fire department.
Okay. You always have to make sure you keep the fire trucks all nice and clean.
All nice and clean all the time. Sure enough.
Well, we've never seen a fire truck up close before.
Come on in and we'll show you.
You want to go take a look?
No, but I got
Come on in.
Let's go. Wow.
All right, neighbors, we're back. We're going to talk a little bit about the fire truck.
This is a lot of knobs, a lot of switches.
A lot of knobs, a lot of switches, and a lot of lights.
Wow.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what it does. And this is kind of the brain of the fire truck right here. This is called the pump panel, and this is kind of the brain of our fire truck because this is where all of our water comes into through hoses, and where all of our water comes out of to put out a house fire or a fire period, any kind of fire. So this is the brains.
Now, how much water does the fire truck usually hold?
This one holds 1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons of water, and it's a 1,250 per minute, gallon per minute pump. So we can out of this discharge, we can get 1,250 gallons per minute.
Wow. It's a lot of water.
So we can fill a swimming pool up if we still done that really quick. But we can't do that anymore. So, but yep, this is our brains. But as in all brains, you've got to have something to drive that. So we've got one of our drivers sitting up here in the seat.
Let's go take a look.
And he's going to show you a little bit up here. All right, so we're going to go up here, and this is one of our drivers, Charles.
Hi kids.
and he's gonna talk a little bit about the driving of this fire engine.
Well, from here, this is where I drive the truck to get to the scene. Car wrecks, house fires, car fires, you name it. From this seat, I can talk on the radio or watch this. Hit the lights. Just like that.
So, lights and sirens.
Yep. Wow.
We gotta have the lights and sirens to get to the emergency safely. Because if we don't get there safely, we can't help anyone.
Right.
And Charles has been a driver for a little less than a year.
Almost a year now.
And you've been at the fire department how long?
Almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years.
So it takes a lot of training to learn how to drive one of these.
It does. A lot of training, big training program you got to go through, testing. And once you get in the driver's seat, it's pretty exciting.
Boy, that is really something. Now, like, when you go to a fire, what do you have to wear to make sure that you're safe?
Well, actually, interesting enough, I've actually got everything out right now. What we've got put on, when you're putting gear on, it just kind of depends on what you're doing. But this is the hood. This is what you have underneath your helmet. Your face piece is going to be covered around it so that you're covered from the heat from it. We've got turnout boots, and we've got these bunker pants that you've got trousers on so that they don't slip off. When you're putting gear on, you want to make sure everything's nice and buckled up. If you've got Velcro straps, you want to Velcro everything. That way you're completely encapsulated and you're being protected from the heat and smoke as much as you can. While you're getting everything on, your whole point here is to make sure that you're not only getting everything covered, you'll be checking your partner out too, because you always go in as twos. You always go in as a pair, you're never alone. And the reason for that is safety. So when you're putting this on, this is going to make it a little bit harder to hear me, so I'll speak up a little bit. This here is so that you can connect to your SCBA air pack and breathe. It's not an oxygen tank, it's a regular air tank. A lot of people get that confused, and the reason we do that is because pure oxygen would actually make it very difficult in the fire to actually do anything. It dries your mouth out, it's incredibly difficult to use. And when we're getting all this gear on, we're adding minimum 45 pounds. So what a lot of people don't realize is you're actually adding a whole lot of weight to yourself. So when you're putting everything on, you're making movement and everything else. You're working harder to do what most people would just do to walk around. And the very last thing you put on are gloves.
Now, why is that the last thing you put on?
Well, you put them on last because it's a lot harder to grip things and move stuff around and close zippers and everything when you've got gloves on, because it's like doubling the thickness of everything you got on your hand. So imagine trying to do daily activities with these massive gloves on, and we've got to work in them. So we're moving hose, we potentially have to save people, and we've got to be adept enough with our hands and skill to where we can handle all our tools, bring all the hose line we can in, and if we've got to save somebody, we've got to be able to get them out while handling all of our tools. And we've got to be able to do that rapidly, we've got to be able to do that as skillfully as we can, and we do that and we train on it so that we can be the best we can be for the public, because we are public service at the end of the day. Yeah.
And we really appreciate that.
Well, we love our jobs. We love being here for the public with what we do.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Let me add one more thing too. He goes from having his boots on to where he's at right now in 1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute, we have to have all this on like this and ready to go down the road on a truck.
Wow.
Any time of the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So you always have it prepared when
Yes.
you get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, how I had this set up on the engine is how I personally put it in for me. I've got it set up to where I know I can step into my turnout boots, or not turnout boots, my bunker boots and my trousers, and I can get everything on, aside from my SCBA, in about a minute flat.
Yeah, and that's an NFPA standard that it's not a law, it's a standard. That's what they give us to go by. And Firefighter Stewart and myself, I'm the lead firefighter inside the structure, so he and I would go in together. We're a team.
Yes, we are. He's my lead.
Thank you very much for showing us.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad to do it.
Awesome. All right. Yes, we have a few questions we'd like to ask now. Y'all ready for that?
Let's do it.
Oh, yes.
Now what is this here?
Okay, come on over, guys.
Content?
This is a 1921 or 23 T model. This used to be one of the frontline fire engines here at the fire department.
Wow. So
And-
this was actually used.
It was actually used. It now the only thing we use it for is parades, and the mayor sits back here. But this tank would have water in it, and it would have an acid pellet in the top of it. When you get to a fire scene, you would actually rotate the tank, and it would mix with that acid pellet and create pressure to come out the hose.
Wow. That is interesting.
Yeah. And it's I say an acid pellet. I don't know exactly what it was made up of, but it was something that built pressure when it mixed with water.
Very cool. So our neighbors would like to know, how long have y'all been doing firefighter work?
Okay, neighbors, I started as a paid firefighter at the city of Elizabeth in 1994. I was actually a volunteer firefighter at Hampton for 12 years prior to coming here. So I've been a firefighter at the city of Elizabeth for 27 years. Yes, sir.
I started here at the Elizabethton Fire Department in 2015, late 2015, so I'm going on 5 years now.
This is actually a dream come true for me. I started in February when I went to rookie school, and recently finished it and have been on shift with these fine gentlemen pretty recently, but this is something I've wanted to do for about 8 years. Finally been able to do it, been blessed.
Now, on a typical day on the job, what do each of you do?
Well, I'm a lieutenant here at Fire Station 1, which means that I'm the lead firefighter. That way, at a fire scene, we have an officer inside, and I'll let these guys tell you what their jobs are, but I guess I'm the officer in charge of the scene until the battalion chief gets there.
My job title here is an engineer. Right now I'm assigned to Engine 5. My primary duties are to run as a supply truck for the main attack truck, which is Engine 7. So if we did have a fire, Engine 7 would be on scene as the main attack truck. My job would be to supply Engine 7 with water. So I'd have to find a hydrant, hook up the hoses, and pump them the water that they need to do their job. Also, I would run car wrecks, car fires, anything that could be handled with a single truck in our zone.
So I am assigned to Engine 7 as the firefighter. I'm directly underneath Lieutenant Taz. My job is I'm the attack. When he and I are the ones who are going into whatever if something's on fire, he and I are going straight in. My job is to be in full bunker gear, ready to rock and roll with whatever situation we've got going. And if Chuck over here actually has a call for a single engine, I'm going with him as well. So I go with, depending on what we're doing, either one of these gentlemen, and my job is to be able to fight fire, save lives.
Now, have you always wanted to be firefighters?
Yeah, I'm pretty much wanted to be a firefighter since I was probably about 8 years old. Yes, sir.
No, I didn't. It's something that kind of came about. I didn't join the fire department until I was in my mid-20s. So I tried several other careers and came upon this one, and I'm glad that I did because I really enjoy my job now, and it's very fulfilling work, and couldn't pick anything better.
So mine actually came about from when I was in the Navy. I had some experience with fighting fire on submarines, which is a much different animal. But when I got out, it kind of sparked a big interest in me to want to pursue. I actually went towards corrections first, and I was blessed. I had been testing for almost 3 years, really wanting to get into a fire department, and I've been blessed to be hired by Elizabeth. So.
Well, the next question we have for y'all is, do you have a favorite part of your job?
For myself, the most favorite part is when we do go on that house fire, we do go on that wreck or a rescue, whatever the situation may be, is the fulfillment I get from helping people. And, you know, I'm a religious man, and I believe that everything happens for a reason, but the Lord has put us in a situation where we're able to help people, and that's the best part of my job, is when we can help someone, a kid, just to give them on a wreck when they're really scared. We can give them a stuffed animal and it calms them down. So that's my favorite part of the job.
How about you, Chuck?
Well, my answer is probably pretty similar to Taz's, the same sort of theme, but I could best sum it up by telling the story of a particular call that we went on. And it wasn't anything huge or dramatic, but we had gotten a call at an apartment complex, and there was a kitten stuck in the dryer vent. And this was a few years back, and it took us several hours. It was up on the 3rd story. We had to climb up a ladder and retrieve this kitten it was stuck in this little hole in the side of the building. And me and my partner at the time, we were able to get it out. And meanwhile, the whole time, the little girl whose kitten it was there, and she was pretty tore up about it. But when I finally got the kitten out of the pipe, I climbed down the ladder and took the kitten around the front of the building. And when the little girl saw the kitten, she started crying with tears of joy. And that single instance pretty much sums up the best part of this job. So nothing too big and dramatic. I mean, fires are exciting, but the gratification of pleasing a child like that exceeds the excitement of any structure fire that I've been on.
For me, it's very similar to what Taz had to say. It's even if we're not on a call, the job description is saving life and property. And you have to be a very unique individual to be willing to go into anything that everyone else is running out of. And being able to be surrounded by people of a like mind who are willing to do that, who believe, this is life and property that is at stake. That's very fulfilling to me. And as a fairly newlywed individual, I also get plenty of time to see my wife. And that's incredible to me because, that's starting off a huge part of my life. And I couldn't imagine many other places where I'd be able to be in a job that has such an impact on the community, and also get to spend as much time as I do with my wife. And I seriously couldn't be more grateful for what I've been given.
So really, for all three of you, being able to connect with people and help them is really what makes the job.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So our next question is, Does your job as firefighters ever get difficult?
Very difficult, very often. Wow. Just about every call we go on, we have some sort of difficulty. Not that it's a physical thing or, I guess my biggest part of the difficulty would be the mental aspect of what we do and what we see. You know, the type of difficulty that affects one person is not necessarily the same for all of us. So mine would be probably mental difficulty more than anything.
I'd say, well, mine has changed recently when I got promoted into the position that I'm in now. When I was a firefighter, to me it was easy. Like, you ride in the truck, you get out, there's fire there, you attack it. You know, there was parts of it that were hard, of course, but physically demanding, yes. But now that I'm responsible for a truck, now I'm responsible for when the tone goes off, knowing where that location is, getting to the location safely, knowing how to run the pump panel, being able to locate a fire hydrant, watching over my firefighter, and at the same time, there's a lot more responsibility involved now in the position I'm at now, so the difficulty for me has gone up a lot with the new position I'm in now, but still, yeah, it's still not that bad. It's all still fun to me, so. But there is more responsibility being in charge of the truck.
So as the rookie on this shift, I haven't personally been involved in anything that you could say is a big event. I've been on plenty of smaller calls, which are arguably just as, if not more important. And I think they're better, because if we're ever toned out, we have to go somewhere that means somebody's losing. And when I'm getting all my gear on and I'm on the back of an engine, I'm praying that we seriously don't have anything going on, because I don't want some big or catastrophic, anyone to be injured. And that to me is probably the most difficult part of the job, is even if we're timed out to a fire alarm, most of the time it's not anything, but that one time that it is,
The unknown.
the unknown.
That goes along with mine as well. The unknown, basically.
Yeah, and I'm constantly praying that we just don't, it's something small, we don't have to do anything. Not that I don't want to do my job, I love my job, but me doing my job means that somebody is seriously hurt.
Yes, sir.
And that's never good. So that to me would be the most difficult part.
So our next question is, what does it take to do your job as firefighters effectively?
The biggest thing for us to be effective is knowing what our job is and how to do our job. And from my aspect is, as a firefighter now, I used to be an engineer, now I'm a firefighter, so my role had to change, so my training had to change. So now, to be effective, we've got to do firefighting training. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a local church, tearing down a house. They let us go in for 3 days and train in that house, and we had smoke machines and smoked it up and went through different scenarios on rescuing somebody out of a house that was on fire. So training is the biggest thing that we can do to be effective.
Yeah, very similar to Taz, except for me, it's kind of an opposite order. I went from being a firefighter to now being an engineer. So it's still the same thing. It's training, but it's just training on your job specifically. So for me, there's a lot of, or for any engineer in preparation to be an engineer, there's a lot of studying that goes on, because you need to learn where your streets are in the city, where your hydrants are in the city, and how to run your pieces of equipment that you're responsible for. So there's some book work you got to put in, some studying at the desk you need to put in, but then there's also a lot of hands-on training that you need to do to get familiar with your equipment. So pretty much training, but but just a different kind.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to be in an incredibly similar situation as both of these gentlemen. Training is the number one. But as the rookie, I'm coming in and I'm not just training on what I need to be good at with it. It's just getting my bunker gear on, being able to pull a line and attack whatever we've got to attack if that's what we've got to do. I'm also studying my streets. I'm looking forward to my future as well, because this is a career for me. That's how I treat it. So the whole point is to not be in one place my entire career. So the more that I learn now for the position I'm in is just firefighter. If I'm learning my streets and everything, even if I'm not an engineer such as Chuck here, if I hear the address and I know where it is, we can bounce that off each other.
Yes.
And the more knowledge that we've got as a crew or a team, just the better off we all are. So
Correct.
I think that's an incredibly important part of my job.
So, like, even though you may get into your dream job, for our neighbors, the learning never stops. Right?
Never stops.
Never
You
stops.
can always improve.
Yes.
It's our next question is, if our neighbors on the program want to become a firefighter one day, what do they need to know that they need to do?
The biggest thing probably to start preparing now, number one, you have to be 21 years old before you can even put in an application at a paid fire department like Elizabeth. As a junior firefighter in high school, you can get into the volunteers and start learning the process. I would recommend going through volunteer fire departments as a junior firefighter and then as a firefighter until you can get hired at a department. And the next biggest thing would be, don't limit yourself to one fire department. If you really want this job, you need to put in applications at all of your local fire departments. So, you're going.
I got nothing for that.
Uh-huh.
Huh? You got to edit that.
You got anything? Steve?
I do. Yeah.
Stu's got something for it.
To play off what Taz was saying about if you really want this job, you've got to apply. I applied for 3 years locally. I actually didn't know that Elizabeth was hiring, or they at least do the hiring process every year. I was told it was very low turnover, and so I never actually applied here. But I applied pretty much in the entire region for 3 years. And I just happened to get picked up here, but just don't give up on it. It can be very frustrating, very disheartening if you really want to be a career firefighter. But just to not give up on something that you really want to do. A lot of people do give up, and it's really sad to watch somebody just let their dreams kind of just go off on the wayside because they've given up on it. And just be willing to learn, be open-minded, and keep yourself in pretty good physical shape because it does come in handy. That's just a general rule of life, I firmly believe, but that's what I think would probably be my kind of list.
Yeah. And stay in school. You've got to have you have to have a high school degree or a GED to even apply. So the learning never stops. So college degrees help. I mean, if you get your high school diploma, you go to college, you get a bachelor's degree, that helps you on the process. So, yeah, don't ever stop learning.
Well, thank y'all so much for answering these questions for us.
Well, thank you for
Thank you,
coming.
Charlie.
We have enjoyed.
Well, I guess it's time for us to go back to the house now.
you ready
Come
to go?
anytime, friends.
Awesome. Thank y'all again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Let's head on out.
Let's get out of here.
Thank y'all again so much for having us.
Hey, thank you for coming.
problem.
Thank
Anytime.
you, friends.
Thanks for coming.
One thing we want to do, we're going to make Charlie a honorary firefighter, junior firefighter for the fire department. We're giving him a nice little hat you can put on.
I like that.
Yeah. Here's your keychain. Gotta have that. Here's your armband.
Awesome.
So,
Well, thank y'all.
honorary firefighter, Elizabeth Fire
appreciate
Department.
that. Take a look at this, neighbors. Look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Y'all come back anytime.
Appreciate it.
Sir, we appreciate you.
Thank you. We appreciate all the
Good
work.
to see you,
y'all do.
Charlie.
Thank you very much. Well, let's head on back to the house.
All right. See you, friends.
See ya.
Honorary firefighters. Wasn't that fun getting to go and visit the fire department today? Getting to speak with Lieutenant Taz and Chuck and Stuart about their jobs as firefighters. You know, we're so thankful for the job that they do. It's not easy to go into a job that you don't know what's going to happen, put your life on the line for others, but they do it so well, and we're very thankful for them. You know, as we were talking, it brought to mind a scripture that I wanted to share with you today. Now, if we go to the book of Joshua, we'll look at chapter 1 and verse 9. It says this: "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." You know, that's exactly what these firefighters are when they go into fires. They're strong and courageous. But being strong and courageous, that doesn't mean that you're not scared. It's perfectly fine to be scared. It's a natural human emotion. But what matters is what you do with it. Now, these firefighters, when they go into fires, they know what they need to do, and they go in and they do it. That's exactly what we need to be as Christians. We need to know what we need to do, go in and do it. You know, it's funny that the temptations that we're faced with, in the Bible, it refers to them as fiery darts. So let's put out those fiery darts. Go in and do what we need to do and live our lives for Christ. I'm so glad that we got to have this time together today, that we got to go and visit the fire department and speak with Lieutenant Taz, Chuck, and Stuart. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm so glad that you got to come and spend time with us today. I love you, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.